They say grief makes you do strange things. For me, it made me run. After my brother died, I didn't want comfort. I didn't want anyone looking at me with soft, pity eyes. I wanted to disappear just long enough to breathe. So I rented a place up north, cabin, cheap, no Wi-Fi, no neighbors, no noise. The listing said it was near an old highway called Root Hollow. Didn't think anything of it then, but that road remembers things you don't want to. I took my first drive the second night. I didn't even know where I was going. I just needed to move, to put something between me and the silence pressing against that cabin's walls. The sky was bruising over, turning that cold, gray blue, the kind that makes the trees look like black veins across the sky. Winding forest, no signals, no signs, just one long curve that seemed to lean sharper than it should. It was the kind of bend that felt wrong, like the road wanted you to keep going, just a little too fast, until it could throw you off like a bucking horse. Then I saw it, the memorial. No fence, no marker, just there. A bent tree, split like lightning, had once tried to tear it in half. A photo nailed to the trunk, its corners curled with age. Candles melted into the dirt, wax like old bones in the leaves. A girl's face, familiar, way too familiar. Not I've seen her on the news familiar. Personal, like a memory you never made, but somehow belonged to you anyway. And carved into the wood, missing, never found. I felt sick, not because it was eerie, not even because I was standing at someone's grave without knowing it, but because I'd seen that face before, in a dream I had the night before. Same hair, same expression, same place, and I never dream, not like that, not clear, not perfect, and never twice. I asked about her at the local bar, the kind of place with a sticky floor and deer heads mounted like trophies above the liquor shelf. The heat buzzed from an old radiator in the corner, the kind of buzz that made your spine itch. 3 locals nursed warm beers, watching a silent TV with one broken color bar across the screen. I walked up to the counter, trying to sound casual. Hey, that tree out by the curve, the one with the photo. You know who she was? The bartender froze the second I mentioned the girl by the tree. He didn't look at me, didn't pour the drink he'd started, just stared at the counter like it was made of glass, and I was already falling through. Don't talk about her, he said. His voice didn't shake, but it didn't belong in the room either, like it was coming from deeper underground, older than him. She's not a ghost, he said. She's an echo. That's when an old man behind me, face like cracked leather, hands stained with grease or old tobacco, leaned forward and muttered without turning his head. She walks that road once a year, always barefoot, always looking. And when she finds someone else goes missing. I turned to look at him. He didn't blink, didn't even seem to be breathing. Then finally, he looked me dead in the eyes. How many nights you been here? I hesitated. 3, I said. He just nodded. That's one too many. That night, I woke up in the front seat of my car. Keys in the ignition, engine cold. It was dead silent. Not a single cricket, not even wind. Like the entire world was holding its breath. No idea how I got there, but I was parked right by that damn tree. The one with the candles, the one with the photo, the one I promised myself I wouldn't go near again. The headlights were off. The dashboard was dark. The kind of dark where even your own hands feel like strangers. Then, knock, knock. A knock on the window startled me. It wasn't hard or frantic. It was soft, like a whisper in physical form. Just enough to remind me I wasn't alone. I turned. No one was there. Nothing. Just the woods and the bend in the road disappearing into black. Turned back, and the girl's face was pressed against the glass, her eyes wide and unblinking, hair soaked and clinging to her skin like vines, mouth open in a scream, but it made no sound. Only fog bloomed against the inside of the windshield, even though she was on the outside, except it wasn't glass anymore, it was water, and she was sinking, not falling, not panicking, just slowly, steadily, like something was pulling her down. I tried to move, to scream, to open the door, to do something, but my hands were frozen to the steering wheel. and as her face slipped beneath the surface, her eyes locked onto mine and blinked. I don't remember getting out of the car. I don't remember walking. All I remember is running. Bare feet slamming against gravel, the air colder than it had any right to be. When I got back to the cabin, my lungs were burning. I slammed the door shut behind me, locked it twice, turned on every light. It didn't help. The shadows still crept. In the bathroom, I ripped off my hoodie and just stood there, staring. Scratch marks, deep, fresh, across my ribs. 3, maybe 4 slashes, each one too precise to be random, too deliberate to be a dream. I hadn't been attacked. I hadn't fallen. Then I looked closer. They weren't scratches. They were letters, carved into my skin. But there was no blood, not a drop, just pain, a searing, pulsing pain that didn't sit on the surface. It was inside me, like something had been pulled out and something else had been shoved in. My brain was starting to forget what it meant to be me. I broke into the town's community archive. It was barely locked. No cameras, no alarm, just a rusted padlock hanging open like it had given up trying to keep people out. Inside, the air was dry, like paper and dust had been fighting for oxygen. Rows of metal drawers lined the walls, each labeled with fading years. The lights flickered once, then stayed dim, like even the building didn't want me in there. Found a box of missing persons, cardboard, mold on the corners, handwritten in red marker, unresolved, outside submissions, all connected to Root Hollow, all from out of town, all around the same time every year. The pattern was undeniable. November, early December, always travelers, hikers, renters, no family in the area, no roots. People who could vanish without setting off alarms, but none of the names were ever reported. No national record, no news, just red stamps, case closed. No foul play. Some files were literally blank, pages stapled together with only a date and a photo. Others had notes scratched out with thick black marker. It felt deliberate, like someone wanted them to disappear a second time, not just from the world, but from memory. But here's what chilled me. One of the files had a picture of my brother, the same photo that sat on my nightstand for years after he died. Same flannel shirt. Same cracked front tooth from when we were kids. It wasn't like him. It was him. The report said, found, deceased, self-inflicted, near hollow curve. That was impossible. My brother died in our city, apartment bathroom. I was the one who found him. I remember the police tape. I remember the sound of my own voice calling 911. I remember holding his hand before they zipped the bag. Unless I wasn't. I confronted the bartender. I waited until the place was empty, just the two of us and a jukebox that hadn't played all night. I slammed the file down in front of him, heart pounding. He didn't even flinch. He didn't look surprised, didn't even glance at the folder. "You don't get it," he said. "That road feeds. It doesn't take who it wants. It takes who you bring." His words hit like a slap. Not loud, but personal, intimate, like he'd been waiting for me to figure it out. I told him I didn't bring anyone. He just pointed at me. "You brought your grief. That's enough. That's the invitation." I stared at him, fists clenched. "You're lying," I snapped. But even as I said it, part of me knew he wasn't. The moment I saw the memorial, the moment I recognized the girl in my dream, I knew I wasn't just a visitor here. This place had been waiting for me. He shook his head. "Everyone who stays past night 3 either disappears or trades." He poured himself a drink, didn't offer me one, didn't have to, because by now, I could feel it. Whatever this thing was, this place, this hunger, it already had my scent, and it wasn't going to let go. That night, I saw her again. The girl, in the woods, same pale feet sinking into the frostbitten earth, same dark hair sticking to the sides of her face, like seaweed. But something was different this time. She wasn't drifting like before, like a mirage. This time, she walked toward me. Deliberate, slow, each step somehow louder than it should be. Branches didn't crack. They screamed. My body froze, but my mind was screaming at me to run. I couldn't move. She whispered something, but it wasn't in my ears. There was no sound. It was in my head, my brother's voice. "Sawyer," he said, so close it made me flinch. "You left the door open." I staggered back like I'd been shoved. Something cold pressed against my chest, like a hand, only inside. I backed away, terrified, heart thudding, knees barely holding me. The air around her rippled like heat over pavement, but it was freezing. And she smiled, that broken, glassy smile. Her lips cracked, her teeth chipped, like she'd been biting stones. "You forgot what you gave me," she said. Her voice was layered, my brother's underneath it, twisting around her own. "Now it's your turn to be the memory." Then she opened her mouth wider, wider, and I saw my face inside it. I woke up in a hospital bed, sterile light, white ceiling. My mouth was dry as dust, tubes in my arm, my fingers twitching like they hadn't moved in years. A nurse stood at the foot of the bed, writing on a chart. Her pen tapped like a metronome. Where am I?" I asked, my voice hoarse and unfamiliar. She looked confused, but not shocked, like she'd been waiting for that question. "Same place you've always been, Mr. Sawyer." Her tone was flat, clinical. "You were in an accident. 2007. Head trauma. You've been here ever since." The walls began to tilt. The clock on the wall was melting like wax. A faint smell of burnt wood filled the air. I stared at her, trying to find logic, trying to anchor myself to something real. "Wait, what year is it?" She paused, her eyes flicking to the door, then back to me. 2009. No, I was just on the road. I was just in the woods. I saw her. I touched her. She pulled the curtain. And standing behind her was me, only not quite. The other me didn't blink, didn't breathe. His eyes were hollow, like two holes punched in paper. He smiled, and it was the same smile she gave me. I don't know who's writing this anymore. Maybe it's the me that stayed. Maybe it's the me that traded. Maybe it's neither of us. Maybe I'm just a shell now, wearing someone else's name. I hear things when I sleep. My brother laughing, the girl humming, the road humming beneath it all, like it's alive, pulsing through the cracks in the earth. Sometimes I wake up facing the wall. Sometimes I wake up in someone else's bed. Sometimes I don't wake up at all. But I know this much. If you ever feel drawn to a road that doesn't show up on GPS, if you ever see a memorial with no name, if someone in a town tells you not to ask questions, leave. Don't look back. Don't wave. Don't wonder what could have been, because the road doesn't forget, and it doesn't let go. And once it feeds on your pain, it will remember your face, even after you've forgotten your own. Sometimes I catch my reflection smiling, and I'm not.